My name is Lilith Starr, and I'm the chapter head for the Seattle chapter of the Satanic Temple. We're a very new chapter, as basically are all the chapters of the Satanic Temple. We basically got our start in December, so we're pretty young. The temple itself is not that old either. It's less than 5 years old, so we're a bunch of young punks, apparently, according to the old school Satanists. Okay, this is also my first time doing public speaking in a really long time, so apologize if I'm a little nervous. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right, how many of you have heard of the Satanic Temple? Fair number of you. Okay. Let's see. Where to begin? So the Satanic Temple was founded in New York, I think between 3 and 5 years ago, and just recently they opened it up to people who wanted to form chapters in other cities. And there's an application process, and we're opening up, I think, 20 new chapters across the nation, in all kinds of places. A lot of places where it's a lot more dangerous to be a Satanist. And, honestly, those places are the places where they really need to be for the activism. So those are brave people. Right from the beginning, we started getting press coverage. The Satanic Temple really catches the attention of the media. And for us, that's a really good thing because it draws attention to the issues that we want to fight for. So, we like that attention. We're certainly not out there to be sensationalist and flashy. It's not about the individual people in the temple. It's really about the activism and our greater goal of fighting that, religious overreach that is just going out of control right now across the nation. So they're trying to fight it. So this is a piece that Allison Morrow of King 5 News did in November before we had our first meeting where, we got a bunch of members. It was basically just me and a couple of friends. And the interview is really just me, so, and it focuses on my biography a lot, but you hear a little bit about the temple.
A group of Satanists is planning to start the first Satanic Temple chapter in Seattle.
King 5's Allison Morrow shows us why they believe Western Washington would benefit from Satan.
It's a ritual Lilith Starr practices to start meditation every morning.
Ave Satanas.
Hail Satan, the symbol she says saved her.
I had basically given up on life.
Depressed and addicted, Starr tried 12-step programs.
But they had this insistence that God would fix it for you.
It was Satan, she says, who turned her life around, but not really Satan, just the idea.
We don't believe in any supernatural beings, God or Satan.
Usually the human is the center of the universe.
Mark Marcouli teaches theology at Seattle University.
Satanic movement is actually both a new moment and movement and an old one.
He says Satan's been a symbol for centuries.
Satan symbolized someone who rebelled against God or the idea of God, and so was kind of a rebel with a cause.
That's why Starr considers herself a Satanist, along with her husband and a handful of others who plan to start Seattle's first chapter of the Satanic Temple. These images from the national movement's website, fighting for government recognition among more mainstream religions.
We feel just as strongly about our beliefs as they do.
Starr defines religion as a deeply held belief.
They deeply value the individual.
Satanists believe in reason, empathy, compassion, and justice, but no supernatural beings.
There's a newfound energy in some areas around kind of organized atheism.
And the belief that science and reason and noble pursuits are the hope of all mankind.
It proved to be very empowering for me.
Starr remembers growing up an outcast. Satanism gives her a sense of belonging, but reminds her she ultimately belongs to herself.
You are the one that's empowered to change your own life, and there's nobody else that you can turn to, especially a supernatural God.
Now, the Satanists plan to have their first organizing meeting at the Fremont Library in Seattle on December 7th. There is no rule book about how to run a Satanic Temple chapter meeting, so they plan to discuss what rituals they want to include, even rituals, believe it or not, like baptism.
So, Allison, you have a Master's of Divinity. What do you think of this? Shouldn't they just call themselves atheists if they don't believe in anything supernatural, a supernatural being?
So, of course, they do say they are atheists, but they prefer to be more rebellious, edgy atheists. So they don't really participate in that mainstream type of atheism, and that's what the symbol of Satan signifies, is this rebel and this outcast. So they feel more comfortable calling themselves Satanists than just mainstream atheists.
All right, fascinating.
There's a difference there.
Thank you, Allison.
We're edgy. I don't know. So she did pretty good. She did pretty good. She has a master's in divinity, and she got the story. I thought, even with a little bit of sensationalism. And so we have her as an ally in this town, and we contact her when we're doing anything, and sometimes she'll do a story. And she's been pretty sympathetic and accurate in her reporting, which is really nice. I notice a lot of the media all across the nation has been pretty fair in its reporting of what's going on, and in a lot of cases championing us, in the reporting. So at our core, we are an atheist activist group. That's why we exist. There are many different kinds of people that join us. There are Satanists. I was a LaVeyan Satanist. We have a lot of atheists, humanists, some skeptics. The head of the St. Louis chapter is a skeptic. Basically anyone who's really tired and fed up with what's going on with the religious right in this country, and they want to do something. And we basically offer a way for them to do something. So it's exciting. This is my first activism gig, so I'm learning as I'm going. So let me read our mission to you. The mission of the Satanic Temple is to encourage benevolence and empathy among all people, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense and justice, and be directed by the human conscience to undertake noble pursuits guided by the individual will. We facilitate the communication and mobilization of politically aware Satanists, secularists, atheists, and advocates for individual liberty. So, in a nutshell, that's our beliefs. We don't have any complicated religious dogma or, spell books or anything like that. So let me tell you about some of the activism that the Satanic Temple has been doing over the past few years. And I'm going to start with the national ones because they've been around a lot longer. The thing that really got me to join, to find out how to become a chapter head, was the day that the Satanic Temple stood up to the Hobby Lobby decision and used it to create a legal document that a woman could use to get out of receiving totally false medical information before an abortion, as mandated by the state. So, because one of our tenets is that our beliefs should conform to the best scientific understanding of the world, we can use that as a legal defense with these RFRAs to say, well, this is my belief that I should not be subjected to this inaccurate information. So, and that made me proud to be a Satanist, and I really wanted to get involved. It was more than just playful fun like the monuments. This was change for something that I really believed in. All right, another initiative that I'm super proud of is what's called the Protect Children Project. This is a pet project of one of our founders. Basically, it uses that RFRA and also just legal frameworks that are already in place for child protection we created a letter that a child can print out and bring to school with him without permission required of the parents, and they can give it to the school administrators, and legally they're bound to follow it. So they made this kind of cute illustrated thing for the kids themselves to, state in very simple terms what their rights were and what to spot and how to fight it. So corporal punishment is still a huge problem in a lot of the country. In the South, it's just rampant. Something else we got a lot of press for was our fight against distribution of religious literature in public schools, which is just rampant. There's a number of organizations, I forgot the acronyms, whose sole purpose is to go around and distribute Bibles in every school. There's that. There's like the World something organization. I don't know. That's their whole purpose in life, and they're well funded. And the Satanic Temple gets a lot of requests for help, and we just can't help everyone. But a lot of the ones we get are from really furious parents whose kid came home with a Bible, or whose kid came home and complained that they were made to, take one or be subjected to ridicule if they didn't, So we would like to step in every case. But the big case we did was in Florida, in the Florida public school system. And so if you are allowing distribution of religious literature, then by law you have to allow everyone to distribute literature. Everyone. Flying Spaghetti Monster, freedom from religion. So we came up with this super cute big book of activities coloring book. It's okay, but wait till you even see the interior. I've got one from the interior. Okay, so in this one, it's a jumble. At the bottom it says, "These bullies are mad and afraid of things they don't understand. Help Damien use inclusive language to diffuse the situation." And these are like, friendship, justice, I can't remember what the other ones are, but you can figure them out. So anyway, we submitted this for approval, and guess what? It got turned down. So this last year we came back and we brought a lawyer. And I can't remember which association that works with us the lawyer came from. Maybe the ACLU, maybe Freedom from, I think it was Freedom from Religion. And they got this approved, because otherwise, they're going to sue the pants off all of the public school system in Florida, So, and guess what happened immediately after that? They changed their policy. And they no longer allow Bible distribution. So, woohoo! So that was pretty effective, I'd have to say. And that's really a lot of what we do, is because we are a legitimate religion, we have the same rights as the Christians. And when we come in, it's painfully clear what they have done. Here is what you have done, so enjoy that coloring book, kids. The founder had a great quote, which was like, "We think children will be very interested to see what Satanism is about." Yes, trolling to a new degree. This is what we're probably most well known for. There's a Ten Commandments statue on the Oklahoma State Capitol lawn, and people have been trying for years to get it removed with no success. So our tactic is, if they let that in, they have to let ours in. So we had an artist design this beautiful 7-foot statue of Baphomet with children, gazing up at his enlightenment. And they raised funds and cast it in bronze. And now legally they have to let us put it there. So we shall see what happens. Okay, this is another thing we got pressed for. They had in the Florida Capitol Rotunda, they were allowing holiday religious displays, and of course, anybody could do it. And there was the flying spaghetti monster. And I think the first year they had denied everyone, but the second year we came in with lawyers, and they let everyone, including us. And you can see our horrible, satanic, evil display. And next to it is the woman who came in and just tore it to shreds, as if it were the sum of all evil in tempura and cotton. So that's a figure of an angel, like, some Christmas angel, hanging from a thread. It's like the birth of Lucifer when he's, cast down out of heaven. And those are flames, and I guess that's clouds up there. Anyway, handmade with love.
Is that the woman who tore it up?
Yeah, the Catholic warrior. She did it in the name of God. They actually arrested her. She didn't get prosecuted, though. Really, I think we can build another one just fine. I don't know. Okay, and this holiday display happened on the Michigan Capitol lawn in Lansing. This is our Detroit chapter. That's our second chapter. And yeah, this is a sulfur symbol. It's kind of, if you don't know much about Satanism, there's like an infinity, and it's kind of a double cross. And it says the greatest gift is knowledge, and there's a snake with a book. And this thing is like, I don't know, like 3 feet high or something. It's tiny. But the amount of controversy and coverage it generated was just, crazy. It was, and I think they had to have guards posted or something too. I don't know. So, and we're going to do this in every town that we have a chapter, and there are public nativity displays. So if you know of any in Washington State, please let us know. Okay, so this is a recent campaign from the Detroit chapter. Detroit recently passed its own, restoration of religious. Oh, I think I misdid it. Is it RRFA?
FFRA, Freedom from Religion Foundation.
No, Restoration of Religious Freedom Act. Is that right? Okay. So this bill passed pretty recently in Michigan, and that's, of course, where the Detroit chapter is. And this was their response. Their response was to mount this campaign to make an addendum or make a requirement that, okay, well, you're going to have this ability to discriminate, but you're going to have to be transparent about it. Because otherwise you're causing people unnecessary, anguish of being turned down. So these are signs that you can download and you can print and put in your business window. There's two versions. Due to sincerely held religious beliefs, like the law says, service is denied to, and then you're supposed to put, LGBT is what they're passing it for, but you could put anything there, right? Unicorns. And then the other one, of course, is, all are welcome. Now, I saw a couple humorous, attempts to fight this. Business is denying service to the lawmakers that passed the bill, to conservative Christian right. So, the parallel is glaring, and they even have a little graphic of a no gays allowed sign in a shop window, and that directly references, 1960s signs, no blacks allowed. And I got asked by a conservative talk show host, oh, aren't you like playing the race card? Don't you think people of color would be offended that you're using that comparison? And I said, no, discrimination is discrimination. You got to call it like you see it. Okay, so this is the scary part. There's 20 states that have these laws, and every state that can pass one of these will. They're just thrashing to stop the tide of LGBT rights, just doing whatever they can. So we're going to try to expose them wherever they are. So I want to talk a little bit about our local campaign. We actually got called in to do an activism case just like a month or two ago when we were super new. And I honestly didn't think we'd have much activism here. I thought we'd be the chapter with not enough to do. But I was wrong. Here, I'll show you the fight that we're undertaking right now down in Clark County, where Vancouver is.
Seattle's Satanic Temple says it's finally found the fight it's been waiting for.
In the next 30 days, Clark County will hang a sign that reads, "In God We Trust." King Faisal Samoro shows us what the Satanic Temple is doing to stop it.
After protests against it,
We don't have time for that today.
and outspoken support for it.
They want to take everything away from the people that defended this country.
In God We Trust is less than a month from hanging on a wall in this room.
It doesn't represent the community.
Amy Wims is a new member of Seattle's Satanic Temple, founded by Lilith Starr late last year.
We see Satan as our symbol of the rebel against tyranny.
Starr says their goal is activism to separate church and state, but they worried Seattle wouldn't offer many fights.
So in a way, we're really excited that it actually happened in our state.
They've started a campaign against displaying In God We Trust in Clark County's public hearing room, saying they might as well put up a Christians only sign. If the local government insists, they hope to work with a lawyer to argue for this sign to go up as well. E pluribus unum, which means from the many, one.
Gives us our first opportunity to really make a difference.
The Satanic Temple has other campaigns nationally. They're currently working on a Baphomet statue they want placed outside the Oklahoma Capitol.
I think it's really important that we include every single religion that we possibly can.
And the Satanic Temple sees itself as a religion of rebels.
Always the outcast. Always into the weird stuff.
Wims is an eclectic pagan.
I take bits and pieces of different religions.
She's adding the Satanic Temple's values to her religious beliefs and adding her voice to their struggle.
To be able to go out and make a difference in the world and have people that will do that with me.
In Seattle, Allison Morrow, King 5 News.
Clark County Manager Mark McCauley tells King 5 he does not believe any additional signs will receive a warm welcome from the county council.
Yeah, I bet they would. Yeah. There's so much history behind this case. They've been fighting to get this in for like 10 years, and they finally had this break where they rejiggered the schedule so nobody could come, and also they haven't yet filled 2 more slots, so it's just the 3 of them, and they railed it in. So yeah, a lot. We got several contacts from people that lives in Clark County saying, "Hey, help us! What can you do?" So what's behind this is this group, this kind of shadowy group that has removed itself from any search engines. Somebody had to, send me the link, which was disguised. In God We Trust America, their mission is to promote patriotism by encouraging elected officials to vote yes to legally display our congressionally approved national motto, In God We Trust, in every city, county chamber, and state capitol in America. That's what they're about. And they're the ones that, when the politicians propose this, they don't say that this organization is behind it. They say it's their own proposal. And this is the group that funds the plaque and funds the legal fight and everything. So we're kind of up against a monster. And, what we are standing for is not, special privilege for Christians and then also special privilege for Satanists. If you're going to give Christianity a place there, you have to give us all. And this is by no means all religious symbols in the world, but, I wanted to get across the point that there's more than just Christianity in this nation. And of course this will get turned down, And unfortunately, because our national motto is In God We Trust, we don't really have good legal standing yet. But especially if we can get that changed, then we can fight this in all the places it's been, thrust on people across the nation. And we want to show that, we're part of a community. There are many different approaches to, belief. There's a humanist, there's Christians, there's us. There's just a lot of different ones out there, and we're being blind thinking it's just Christianity. So. And if it does get approved, of course, we'll fundraise to have it made. We may fundraise to have it made just on principle until it can go somewhere. Because really, the most important part of the temple is our activism. That's how we serve our community, and actually all around the world. It's not just U.S. We have other chapters in other countries. But we are also a legitimate religion, and that's what gives us our power to stand on equal footing with the Christians. We really are. It's not just an atheist group. We have a community. It's a community of people who, for most of our lives, a lot of us had no community. And now we find other people that are united by this core set of our beliefs, the tenets, and also this goal to get something done. So we have social events. We We'd like to eventually perform ceremonies. People have asked us for marriages, christenings, or whatever you call that, Satanings, coming of age. So we'll work on those. The great thing about TST is there's no set dogma or ritual or, anything that you have to do that way. That's totally up to you. And then the other thing we do that other religions do is we do charity work.
Boy, now we come to the propaganda section.
Yeah, damn, almost got away with that. So the ways that we serve our local community, activism, we do outreach and education. We recently got a request from a woman who works in South Lake Union and is being driven mad by the Jehovah's Witnesses that come every Wednesday to stand outside with their stuff and hiss at people whose clothes they don't like. So there was a desperate plea for us to come and pass out our literature. So we're going to work on that. We're going to be down there one of these days. So, and then as far as charity goes, we want that to be a big part of what we do because we really do want to give back to the community. Right now we have an ongoing clothing drive for the homeless, and we also have a pet food and pet item drive for Mrs. Animal Rescue, which, does animal rescue. Cute kittens. Think of the kittens. Kittens for Satan. I'm going to address the biggest question we get is why Satan? Satan is the sum of all evil. Why in the world would you pick that? And the answer is, to us, that's not the case. Satan to us is a literary figure, a symbol that was fighting for the same things we're fighting for. I've tried to argue this point with conservatives, but they just think, oh, well, everybody thinks that, so it must be true. Let me go back. Okay, so our conception of Satan basically comes from John Milton's Paradise Lost and then the later romantic interpretations of that. When Paradise Lost was first written in the 1660s, nobody thought Satan was the hero then. But fast forward 2 centuries and you've got Romanticism, rebelling, saying, shake off your chains, be natural, be free, love, have emotion, stand up to the tyranny that's trying to keep you down. And they took up that figure of Satan in Paradise Lost as a kind of literary hero. So there's a lot of beautifully illustrated works from that period of that piece. Sorry. So basically, the Romanticists who really upheld that ideal of Satan as a hero, William Blake, this is an engraving by William Blake saying called Satan in His Original Glory. Shelley, let's see, can't remember them all. Oh, Coleridge, Wordsworth. For them, this was the hero for man. It was kind of a Prometheus-like figure who dared to stand up to the tyranny of God, saying, you are all sinful and bad, do my will, and say, no, stand up for your individuality. You're human, celebrate that. You're not inherently sinful and bad. This is kind of the modern manifestation of that sentiment. This is a meme called Good Guy Lucifer. And this is an illustration of Lucifer from a comic series called Sandman by Neil Gaiman. And there's just a million of these all over the place. So there is this sense out there, especially among the younger people, that maybe that figure was onto something. I love this picture. This is my cover picture on Facebook. This kind of sums it all up, right there. Right?
Is that real?
Yeah, it is real. They backpedaled like crazy, but we get questions about what is Satanism. We're just one satanic path among many. There's theistic Satanists out there. Oh, I forgot to add, we're totally atheistic. We do not believe in God. We do not believe in Satan. We don't believe in special magic powers. We believe in science and compassion and reason and justice. So there are Satanists that do believe in Satan and worship him. We call them theistic. You know, they're all different varieties. There's not like one main satanic stream because it's a very individualistic path. So that means everybody that is on it, you know, is completely pretty much on their own thing. Also Luciferianism can be theistic or atheistic. In that path, it's much more about Lucifer as the light bringer, enlightenment, reason, you know, critical thinking, you know, that side of it. And then there's also LaVeyan, and LaVeyan was pretty much the major satanic branch in America, well, probably throughout the world. It was founded by Anton LaVey in the 1960s. He was a carny and very theatrical, and basically the book was based on a manuscript called Might is Right, and the idea was that you were your own god, and you know nobody else has power over you. You're the only one with power over you. But so the modern incarnation of the organization associated with LaVeyanism is the Church of Satan, and people usually get us confused. We're very different in the modern Church of Satan has really it's like kind of evolved into the worst of what LaVey's philosophies could be taken to be. There's a lot of racism, misogyny, just like we got a lot of scathing attacks from Church of Satan for being too liberal and compassionate and not celebrating, you know, they said, fuck the weak. We're like, you know, that's not our gig.
If I listened correctly, I think you said that you started out as a LaVeyan Satanist.
I did, yes.
But you changed for some reason.
I no longer consider myself LaVeyan just because of what I've seen recently come from a lot of the LaVeyans. What happened with me is I've been depressed all my life, and I was addicted to nitrous oxide for 17 years. I got addicted in the Stanford band.
You like whippets?
Yeah, whippets. Yeah, I'm one of the few people you'll meet. I think I got addicted to it because it was legal mostly. But, you know, I tried everything to beat it, and I tried going to 12-step programs for years. And their thing was, you know, you have to give up your power to God and let him fix you, or whatever your higher power is. I'm like, well, what if my higher power is myself or my own will? I'm like, oh, that's bad. No, it has to be out. It can be anything but yourself. You can be a doorknob, but not yourself. Yeah, free-range chicken, but not yourself. So every time I would get the craving for the nitrous, it was a binge drug, you know, I would think to myself, oh my God, I'm powerless. Oh, I'm powerless. Well, I better go get the stuff, you know, over and over again. And by the end of it, I had just given up. I thought I was broken. And that's when I met my husband. And he's a Satanist. And he had the Satanic Bible. And our world fell apart, and we became homeless. And we were living in a hotel room for a month. And during that time, I read the Bible, the Satanic Bible. And I liked the philosophy just in terms of, for me, it was empowering for myself. And also, you know, for me, it was about compassion for myself, you know, and not trying to fit into this system that had just let me down, basically. And then using that philosophy, I was able to rebuild a life that did not include addiction, finally. But yeah, I mean, a lot of us that are Satanists, most of us are LaVeyans or have come from a LaVeyan background, but I guess I would consider myself just a TSD Satanist now.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure.